drone over the entire area.
How did he fly a drone over the area, period? Any part of the area?
Again, I would have to go back and check the timeline of when that took place and when the event...
Why didn't you bring the timeline with you today to answer our questions?
I don't have all of the answers on the timelines based on the criminal investigation.
Were you not prepared today to answer our questions?
I am prepared to answer the questions based on the information and wanted to be able to provide.
Do you have a timeline that you, do you have a timeline at all from any of the day?
I have a timeline that does not have specifics.
That's shocking. That is absolutely unacceptable. That means you are a failure at your job. Let's talk about things that are prohibited in Trump rallies. And I've been to a lot of Trump rallies. Backpacks and bags. Bicycles.
Nice. You found the eighth race portal. Travel to the clouds and dash through the sky. Go ahead and walk through.
A potential safety hazard, like a rangefinder would be one. At 5:10, Crooks is first observed by one of the snipers, AGR Sniper 1, at the building. 5:10, President Trump was shot in the face at 6:11 p.m. 5:28, AGR Sniper 1 takes a picture of a bicycle and 2 bags.
Let's go.
Those belong to Crooks. 5:32, AGR Sniper 1 spots Crooks looking at his phone and using a rangefinder. 5:55, Butler ESU Command confirms receipt of photos and states they have been relayed on. 6:05 p.m., AGR Sniper 1 later communicates that Crooks is seen moving northeast in direction of Sheets and that Crooks has a backpack. 2 minutes before the shooting, while President has been allowed to take the stage, people see Crooks laying on his stomach in a sniper position on the roof, and they're yelling he has a gun, and they are trying to alert law enforcement and Secret Service. Why was Crooks not shot by the snipers? Why was he allowed to be there?
As soon as the individual was identified as a threat, they were...
No. What do you consider to be a threat? A man with a gun laying in a sniper position, a man that had a backpack, a man that had a bicycle, a man that had a rangefinder. At what point is he determined a threat?
An individual with a backpack is not a threat. An individual with a rangefinder is not a threat.
What about a man laying on a building? Neutralized. Crooks was neutralized after he shot President Trump in the face, Miss Cheadle. Is he only a threat once he fires the weapon?
As soon as the counter sniper identified that individual, they were able to neutralize them.
How were people in the crowd? Okay, then let's just take it this way. People under your command did not consider him to be a threat, yet people in the crowd knew he had a gun and considered him to be a people under your command don't perceive a man laying on a roof with direct line to the president with a gun. They don't perceive that to be a threat, yet the people in the crowd do. How is that possible?
That's the last question, but please answer the question, Ms. Director.
I'm not certain at this time.
Not turning in your letter of resignation.
Last question. Please answer, and then I'll recognize Ms. Presley. Please answer the question.
That is what we are investigating to determine.
We're waiting for your letter. We're waiting for your letter of resignation, and you really need to consider doing that before you leave today.
Thank you. Chair to recognize Ms. Presley from Massachusetts.
Thank you. No one, absolutely no one should fear for their life. something about political violence in all its forms. Days away. That is an unacceptable timeline, and it makes people less safe. It also allows my colleagues across the aisle, Republicans, additional time to spread dangerous misinformation, which also puts people in harm's way. Some Republicans have exploited this moment to continue. I hesitate to repeat their racist and sexist tropes, but in summary, Republicans have wrongfully and shamefully stated that hiring women and people of color hindered the response to the shooting. Now, this is part and parcel of Republican strategy to constantly attack necessary diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, to undermine the contributions that women, people of color, the disability community, and others make to this country each and every day. And it is disgraceful. In the wake of gun violence and tragic loss of life, Republicans are ignoring solutions like gun safety reform and instead trotting out sexist tropes. Can't say I'm surprised. I asked unanimous consent to enter into the record reporting from CNN titled Right-Wing Media Figures Blame Women in Secret Service and DEI for security failure in Trump shooting.
Without objection to order.
This article quotes members of Congress and others that plainly accuse DEI and hiring of women as a liability in the service. Women have been
Dr. Pepper's in there.
since 1971 and are held to the same standards as their male counterparts. To use them as a scapegoat is shameful and it is dangerously divisive. In fact, based on recent publicly available demographic data of the agency, the largest demographic groups among special agents are white and male. But to right-wing extremists, the truth doesn't matter. The lies they tell to advance their anti-diversity agenda, which is a key theme throughout Project 2025, will only make the American public less safe and more divided. And every day, Director Cheatham, that you fail to give us answers, they are given more oxygen to make their baseless claims that women and people of color are responsible for tragic events. And that is dangerous too. Thank you, and I yield my remaining time to Ranking Member Russ.
Thank you to the distinguished gentlelady from Massachusetts. Members were making to bring it into sharp relief here. The very same day that was gunned down and killed and other people injured, there was another mass shooting that day, just several hours later in Birmingham, Alabama. 4 people killed and 10 wounded in a nightclub shooting. And you might think, oh, that's some kind of freakish coincidence. Not at all. We have more than one mass shooting a day in America. They're so commonplace now that they are barely... And 10 other people were shot and seriously wounded, being treated at the hospital.
Boy, she's catching hell, man. They're all telling her she needs to resign. Wow, someday. She hasn't got her term never paper yet. Anyhow.
They are a major financial drain publicly.
She's the head of the Secret Service.
And yet, we allow AR-15s to be purchased with abandon promiscuously all over the country. People can just go out and get an assault weapon. And the distinguished gentlelady from Michigan was right. We have a hearing when it affects the President of the United States, but all the other days of the year, we don't have a hearing about it. And I think it is because of an honest disagreement about the Second Amendment. There are some people who think the Second Amendment means you've got the right yourself with whatever weaponry you need to overthrow the government of the United States, and we reject that as a false interpretation of the Second Amendment and a false interpretation of the Constitution. We can ban when you compare us to the countries in the European Union or Canada or other similarly situated countries. There's nothing like what we're going through. So we've got to act on the Secret Service to protect ourselves against political violence, and we've got to act as a Congress to protect ourselves against AR-15 violence in America.
Chair recognizes Ms. McClain from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, I want to thank the Secret Service agents, those who work tirelessly to protect our president, and specifically those agents who did not hesitate to jump
You have found the door by items coins you earned from playing mini games.
Of the Contour family and the people at the rally who
So
are
what was their
still
excuse?
recovering.
She has none. She keeps saying she didn't bring any paperwork with her. She don't have a timeline. She don't have nothing.
And although I appreciate your hollow words,
They just keep telling her she needs to quit.
I was
Why aren't you gone? How come you didn't get fired?
Director Cheadle, you must answer to the American people if you want to stay in charge. It's really, really simple. You want to keep your job, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. The best way to keep your job is to answer the questions. Not play this shell game. Not sing the Slim Shady song, wasn't me. I mean, come on. How long did you prepare for this hearing? For the hearing. I mean, the biggest hearing of your life, and you have no clue? You can't remember when you started preparing for this hearing? Can you understand why those words...
Hello, my name is Ace Major, and welcome to the Grid Report. Complete the challenges each room as many times as you can for the high score. Press tutorial to learn more, or press the join queue button.
I have several active investigations going on and an operational agency to run.
Okay. All right. But you want to take accountability, right? The buck stops with you, right?
I'm
Keep referring to the FBI. When asked how many shell casings were on the roof, you referred to the FBI. When asked if there were explosives in the car, you referred to the FBI. When asked if Crooks was acting alone, you referred to the FBI. See a common theme here? I can go on and on. My question is, who at the FBI should I speak with? Wait for it. Wait for it.
The FBI is responsible for the criminal.
Is there a name?
I'm not certain.
I'm not certain.
Who at our
Sorry,
FBI
I'm
is
not
running
certain. I don't know. Let me ask a different
No
question.
interagency
Have you been in
communication?
communication with the FBI?
Yes, I have.
With whom?
I speak with the director and the deputy director.
Okay. And what have they shared with you about this investigation? So I'll give you an opportunity to answer again. Did they share with you how many shell casings were on the roof?
They have shared with me the...
Did they share with you
Box.
how many shell casings?
I'm on Roblox right
Yes or no
now.
question, Rich.
So what do you want to play?
Okay, how many were there?
I'm playing the Untitled
I
boxing
would
game.
refer to the FBI for
How many?
Can we play
and
Warfare
their information
Tycoon?
that they need to share in their investigation.
I really don't play Tycoon.
Information with you.
Can we play
Don't want to
Strongest?
share the information with us, correct?
We
But-
have concurrent investigations that are going
So
on.
they
You want to play Strongest?
with you. You know the answer to the question.
But-
You just refuse to answer the question
Like,
from the member of Congress who has subpoenaed you to be here. Is there a different answer to that question?
Before this
What is the answer to that question?
I think it's
What is the answer to that question?
Fucking
I think it's pertinent to and that the Secret Service knows released.
I'm asking you an answer to the question. If you're supposed to what are you covering up? What are you hiding, my friend?
I'm not covering anything up.
Then why can't you answer?
Uh-oh.
Explosive. So let me ask you, did you ask Ryan? Did they answer that question? Or in the car, excuse me. Did they answer that question for you?
Yes.
Yes. So you know the answer to that question that my colleagues have asked you, but again, you refuse to give us the answers. You're playing this wasn't me. Well, I submit to you, if you can't, and it's not a can, it's a won't. It's not a can't, it's not a I don't know, it's a I choose not to answer the question. If you want to be in charge, then answer the question or step aside and have someone with the courage and the guts answer the And with that, I yield back.
I recognize Ms. Bovert from Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to continue down that vein. You have been here sitting today, Director Cheadle, definitively erroneous information and speculation. However, you are refusing to answer questions that we now know you have the information for. You are claiming that you are wanting to answer questions that the Secret Service has information to. Well, ma'am, you are the Secret Service. You are the director. You are the best for the job. So, I'm going to ask you some questions now knowing that you do have answers from the FBI, whom you have been passing the buck to. Maybe the FBI doesn't know because it has to do with you personally. You said you spoke with President Trump after the assassination attempt, and I want to know, did you apologize to him directly? I appreciate that you recognize that this was your on an encrypted messaging app like Signal. Yes or no?
No, I have not.
Are you willing to surrender your personal phone for analysis? In charge of you ever turn that down?
No, I have not.
Have there been has your team, has the Secret Service? Maybe not you personally.
I believe, as I mentioned earlier, there are times when requests are made
and you have denied them. Was that provided? At the rally, yes, ma'am.
We had Overwatch provided at the rally.
You've confirmed that the assassin was identified as suspicious 57 minutes prior to the shooting, was the suspicious individual ever approached by an agent? Was any contact ever made with him?
Not to my knowledge.
Is that the standard protocol for someone who is identified as suspicious?
The protocol would be to locate the individual
And you said that he was located 2 to 5 times approximately?
No, I said that the information was passed potentially somewhere between 2 to 5.
He was never located by an agent?
To my knowledge, that individual was not located by an agent.
We have dozens of family members who have identified him, and not one agent on the ground. There are many, many, many agents on the ground. Local law enforcement, Secret Service. No one was able to identify him and have sight on and see him.
What I'm saying is that the agents that were on the ground at the time, I have no knowledge that they were able to interview him or locate him.
Thank you. Was there a local law enforcement officer who approached the roof and saw the shooter and saw that he was present on the roof?
That is the information that has been shared.
Have you interviewed that local law enforcement?
No.
Are you going to?
It is part of a criminal investigation that the FBI is interviewing those individuals.
Were agents stationed on the
That
water
was a
tower?
week ago. Why haven't you talked to them?
No.
Why?
That would not be something that would be included in a security plan.
Has the man who is reported to have been present wearing a gray suit who allegedly requested a photo of the dead body of the assassin on top of the AGR roof been identified?
I don't have that information.
Is that something that you've heard of?
No.
Were ATF agents present at the rally?
To attend or to work?
To work.
Not to my knowledge.
And perhaps in his sight before the shooter opened fire on President Trump?
I don't know.
Will you be able to tell us if he communicated with other agents on what he was seeing through his sight? Because we need to know why he waited for multiple rounds to be fired by President Trump before the threat was neutralized. We need to know if he controlled fire. Now, you excuse the roof of being unmanned because of the slope.
Looked pretty darn flat to me.
Undefended.
Mm-hmm.
First of
spoke to him, but you do know that there was no order that was taking place or how long he had admitted sites because you haven't spoke to him, but you do know that there was no order to hold fire.
I can tell you the way that our personnel are trained. They are trained on the use of force scale that when they see a threat, they are authorized to neutralize that threat. They don't have to ask for permission.
You excuse the roof being unmanned because of the slope. Do you stand by that position?
The roof was not covered with an individual on it because there was overwatch provided.
Apparently not. No, there was no overwatch provided. This is very evident. President Trump was shot. A man died. There was no.
Yeah, it seems like TV show SEAL Team does better overwatch than they do.
You do have answers from the FBI who you have been passing the buck to this entire hearing, not answering a congressional hearing while you were under oath and under. I find it maddening as a director that our country has come centimeters away from oblivion under your watch. You have answers. You are refusing to give those to us, directing us to the FBI, and this entire thing is a waste of time. You are responsible for the loss of life and the shooting that took place on President Trump. You do need to resign. This is bipartisan. You need to be fired. You do not need to hold this position. You are not the best for this job. I am over my time, but I cannot tolerate your watch any longer, and I'm going to continue to call daily for for you to be removed from your position, ma'am.
Chair, good afternoon. Fry from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gina, how long have you been with the Secret Service? 29 years, right?
That's correct.
And how long have you been director of the Secret Service?
Just under 2 years.
10 years director of the Secret Service. I know we're here today to talk about the assassination attempt on President Trump, but how many other security lapses have occurred?
I don't have a specific number, but there have been some lapses.
There have been. Was one of them Jake Sullivan?
Yes, sir.
What happened there?
There was an individual who was able to access Mr.
What other steps have taken place? What I'm seeing is what other incidents have occurred other than Jake Sullivan?
What about the drug agents in South America?
Was there an issue with the Secret Service agent and Vice President Harris?
I would not call that a security incident.
Well, it seems to me, you have security lapses with President Trump. You have security lapses with Jake Sullivan. You have issues with your personnel related to Vice President Kamala Harris. There seems to be a repeated theme here. Would you not agree with that?
I think that we are talking about separate categories of incidents.
Well, I would disagree with that, but I think there's a repeated theme when you've got protections and you're not upholding this core submission. Let me ask you something else. Does the Secret Service routinely record communications between and amongst detail?
Radio communications?
Any communication.
Email communications are captured as well as text messages, and then depending on the detail, radio communications are recorded.
Does the Secret Service have recorded communications from the July 13th event?
We do not have radio communications from that day.
But you have text messages?
We do have emails and text messages.
Emails, okay, great. Does the head of the Trump detail or someone else embedded in this detail have command decision-making authority, or do they need to seek authorization from someone outside that detail?
The head of the detail has decision-making authority for things that are necessary for that detail.
Is that standard for protection details?
Yes, it is.
Let me ask you something. During campaign events, is it common for the Secret Service to utilize other agencies?
Yes, it is.
What other agencies would be providing assistance to the Secret Service?
There are a number of other agencies that provide assistance to the Secret Service during campaigns. We utilize personnel from the Department of Homeland Security. We utilize personnel from the Department of Defense, and we utilize local law enforcement partners.
Are you on the same radios? Do you provide the radios to all the assets that are taking part in the protection of an event?
We provide radios to the personnel from the Department of Homeland Security that are assisting us.
But not local law enforcement?
Law enforcement is working on their own radios.
Are you on the same frequency?
We ensure that we have counterparts in the security, so the local law enforcement will place one of their personnel in the security room with other personnel so that we have interoperability communications.
Let me ask you something just about the timeline, because I think this is really interesting that we can't nail that down. I think there are lay people out there with more knowledge about this who have seen to come before a subpoena in front of Congress. What did Mr. Crooks observe at the AGR building prior to the shooting?
He was around outside of our perimeter prior to the shooting.
At approximately what time was that? You don't have to give me the specific minute, but at approximately what time was that?
I believe it was about 45 minutes or so prior to.
Did the sniper team take a photo of Mr. Crooks? So it was a local team and not a Secret Service sniper?
That took the photo.
Okay. And did he relay that photo to Central Command?
It's an active ongoing investigation, so I want to make sure that I'm factual with the route that photo took. When
When did Mr. Crooks' status suspicion to a threat. When did that happen?
To the best of my knowledge, being worked at the 3 o'clock.
But here's the frustration that people have. The buck stops with you. You've said that yourself. But the problem in Washington, D.C., it is the only town in America that you can be so bad at your job that you actually get a promotion.